Yo, what is up guys? Grim here. It has been quite a while since we've had an update, but here I am giving you guys a bit of an update on how delving has been going and what is going to be up. I'm also going to be doing a bit of meta discussion and kind of how I have been getting sulfite. So to begin with, the depth we are at is 900 roughly. We are currently second on the ladder over here. And I've been at this depth for quite a while now. And the reason for this is because even though I've poured lots of currency into my character, we have hit a little bit of a wall with my current setup. And I'll go into a bit more detail about that now. So currently, my strategy was to, instead of building defenses, just build a ton of damage and just never get hit by either avoiding the mechanics, like by moving my character around manually, or using evasion and dodge, and or freezing and shattering the enemies, and that was working very well up until a certain point. And that point is around 900 because things got a little bit crazy in the area that I ended up in. You can see I've gone right around trying to find some easier mods here. Unfortunately, on every single direction I went, there is no easier mods to be found. I suppose I could go up way up here and try and find some more easy mods over here, but we're talking thousands and thousands of sulfite, and in the current system, that's not too fun to farm. So yeah, we hit a bit of a roadblock here, and I think it made me realize that my character really isn't suited to going to like 1500 solo delve level with this setup. I think going forward, if I was trying to go harder and go deeper, I would do a completely different character, which may be possible with the coming updates to the shared mine account wide. But let's go into the character and kind of how it got this deep. So this bow is Empyrean's team's bow, which I just recently mirrored for 50 exalts and the mirror, obviously. Um, it's very good. It's very massive damage. It's super insane. But for the most part, I got up to around 850 with a Wind Ripper bow, and that was just fine. But I think if I can avoid a few bad mods, this bow could easily take me to 1000 if I could dodge a lot of the bad mods my build can't run. So yeah, damage is an issue with this bow. It's an insane bow, and if I do decide to kind of like try and dodge a few more of these mods, I think this bow would definitely help me and carry me to victory. We've got some other just standard tornado shot gear. I am playing tornado shot, but my approach with it is quite a bit different. We're using a TS helmet with an abyssal socket on it. We're using a life gain on hit ring. This is really great for kind of a little mini Vol pact kind of effect. We're using the big Xerxes Heart Amulet, and we're using just random Opal Ring and Tomb Fist and Bubonic Trail, and then also Rigwald's Quills. So the reason I'm playing Tornado Shot obviously is because it's one of my favorite skills, but also because one of the biggest things in Delve is that you have large AoE and you can hit all the monsters and freeze and shatter them, at least for the way I played. That was very important for me. So massive screen coverage was very good with Rigwald's Quills and Chain from the Deadeye Ascendancy. So in terms of how I approached the delves, my in general strategy was to obviously have Val Haste up as much as I could, or Val Grace, and this would keep the Soul Eater buff on me, giving me massive attack speed and massive damage, which would be very good. Obviously, we'd be gathering Headhunter buffs, which would be very good, and we'd just go along our merry way. But that's no good because we would just get one shot by every single projectile. So how do we deal with projectiles? The main thing that carried me was actually Frost Wall. You can basically sit behind frost walls and delves, and none of the projectiles can hit you, like at all. It's very, very strong. However, there are a few things that really, really do destroy this strategy. It worked up until a certain point, but after that point, which I'll go into now, it did not work. There's a few monsters which can kind of interact past frost walls, and it's a bit of a challenge. So the first thing that really, really stood in my way was Nemesis, and you'll notice that there's a lot of Nemesis at this depth. Like here's Nemesis, I believe here, and it's basically just everywhere. And what Nemesis does is it puts a Nemesis mod on all the rare mobs. And these Nemesis mods, all of them pretty much go through Frostwall. You have things like Mortar, Stormcaller, Lightning Mirage. all these things, they just go straight through your frost wall. So if you're just minding your merry business, shooting everything through your wall, all this stuff will just hit you, especially mortars. And with my life pool and no mitigation, just straight up one-shot you, ending that delve. So that happened a lot. So my solution to that was just to dodge all Nemesis mods. So I started doing that and it was working very well. You can see I snake around a lot here, all over the place. But unfortunately, I got to a certain point here where there was a lot of Nemesis, but there was also a lot of other things which got through my frost wall. And those things are, for starters, the mushroom biome. So the mushroom biome is easily one of the most annoying things in Delve. It has a mob type in it, which is a caustic zombie. And when you kill these zombies, they put a massive chaos degen pool on the floor. And if you walk in it at this depth level, it will just one-shot you, even with an Azerius Promise Flask up. And that's no overstatement either. It will literally just degen you 100% to zero in like 1 second. You can't even move out of it. It's that quick. So if you stand in it, you're dead. Unless I guess you have 80% or something Chaos Res, which you could do on a build I'll talk about in a second. So yeah, that's a massive issue for me. There is a way around it. Basically, the way around it is that you take a bunch of flares with you, and you'll kill the zombies, throw the flare, and then just wait for all of the zombie pools to despawn, and then move on. But this opens you up to getting attacked by other monsters from around you, which without any room to kite because there's so many pools everywhere. So basically, the mushroom biome, it's really enclosed. There's lots of degen pools everywhere that you have to wait for that to go away. And then because it's so enclosed and you're waiting and you can't go anywhere, you can get one shot by a bunch of rare mobs or anything like that. And with my build, where you need to kite and not get hit, it's very difficult in those situations. So yeah, the mushroom biome, I try to avoid it wherever possible, but there is quite a lot of it, as you can see, around this area where I got stuck. So definitely very difficult. The next thing is living Azerite. So all Azerite nodes here, basically every single one of them will have a wave come out of the crystals, like 1 or 2 waves of these living Azerite sphere dudes, and they can teleport onto your character. And what that means for me is if I'm sitting behind my frost wall here and shooting them, they'll teleport straight onto me, and most of the time they will one-shot me, just straight up because I've got so low health and mitigation. So that was a really big problem. However, I did figure out how to kind of beat the AI of these things. As soon as they spawn, they always try and target you to teleport to you, and if you see them spawn, you just stop attacking, you wait for them to teleport, and you just run away, and then you frost wall and you attack them again, and obviously their teleport seems to have some sort of internal cooldown on them, so I could for the most part deal with those. But if you're playing a similar character to me and you don't know that kind of trick, then they will just one shot you every single time and you can't progress. But after I learned that you just walk away straight back once they spawn, then you can kill them fairly easily. So yeah, those were a big problem for a while, but we got past that. And then this one, the last one here, is the massive block, which I've just been so frustrated with, and that is the elemental golem events. So each biome is like corresponds to an element. So the chaos, the fungal caverns one is chaos. I think this one here is fizz, and then the ice one obviously is ice, fire is fire, etc. And each of these has a specific golem event tied to them, which will spawn a elemental golem of that type. Now, all of these golems, I think the rares and or the blue packs have an attack which will just target your character and smack it for an amount. Like just there's no interaction, there's no mechanic, you can't dodge it, it's not telegraphed, it'll just hit you. And it goes through all terrain, it goes through all frost walls, all that kind of stuff. There's no way to dodge it. Maybe you can dodge it with spell dodge, but I got hit with it with a decent amount of spell dodge every time. And because my character obviously just relies on dodging mechanics, I couldn't beat that. So whenever I got to an elemental encounter, apart from the fire one is telegraphed and you can strafe backwards and forwards to dodge it. It would just one-shot my character every single time, and there's no way I could do it. There's actually physically no way I could do it at all. Unless there's some way that you can do that. That was the massive blocking factor for me. So for example, I tried to come down here. This was a golem event. I think I came around over here. Over this way, this was a chaos golem event. And then there's just golem events all over the place. and that was really, really challenging for my character. I could do all the other events but the Golem events, so yeah, really big problem there. And then I also want to talk about exiles. So the exiles after the buff, which has just gone in on them, which increased their health significantly, makes them very difficult, especially with the speed mod on it, which you can see, I believe. Anyway, the speed mod is, I think I have one around here. The speed modding just basically puts a Val haste on all the mobs, and the shield charge guy, he just hits you for like all your life. He'll one shot you if he shield charges into you, and when he's really fast, it's crazy. So yeah, that's basically the main things that were dealing big damage to me. Nemesis, Mushroom Biome, Living Azurite, but that wasn't less so because I figured it out, and all the Elemental Golem events and Exiles. Those were just really, really like hard for my character to do, and it really, really held me back from going to that 1k and eventually rank 1. So that's kind of the update there. In terms of how I was farming Sulfite, I'm sure a lot of you are curious. I was not being funneled Sulfite for the most part. However, I did have quite a few friends help me in terms of trading. I just want to give a shout out to Zero and Ice, who have been really helpful with that and just giving me some help in general. So for the most part, 95% of my Sulfite has been farmed solo with this kind of method I'm about to show you. So I've just been running a city square with 5 sextants on it. I've been using the Zana 8 Elder mod, and that will give you. Oh, it's reflect. We'll see if we can do this. That will give you a T16 city square, which is super, super good. And then when you're in here, it's a super fast map. I chose city square because it is so quick. Hopefully we don't die to Fizz Reflect here. That would be a bit embarrassing. But yeah, it's super duper fast, and it gives you around 250 sulfite per node. And we're just coming up to one here. We'll be able to check that out. And in addition to that, you actually make a ton of money running Zana 8 with all these sextant modifiers on it. And the reason for that is because Guardian maps drop so frequently when you're running T16s with all these sextants, it's absolutely insane. And you can sell these for more than the Zana mod costs, which is super duper good. I'll make a video about that and how to set it up and all that good stuff later on, but I just want to show you guys kind of how I've been farming Sulfite. So that's that, and that was around 250 sulfite. So I believe this method is actually faster than Quarry for the most part, which is super duper good. So yeah, that's how I've been farming up my sulfite. It's been pretty easy, pretty chilled out, making a lot of currency from it. We made probably around, so far, 2 mirrors worth of currency, so that's around 200 exalts from just doing this method for around 4 or 5 days, which has been pretty good for me and given me like the opportunity to get a lot of gear and try a lot of things. So yeah, that's kind of been the journey so far. I do believe that I'll stop around 1,000 this league because I don't really want to make a new character at this point after investing so much into this one. But going forward, I think the best build will be a Xerxes, Poet's Pen, Volatile Dead, Pathfinder, with an Indigon on, just purely because of those events that I talked about. You need to be able to mitigate the damage and not take the damage as opposed to just trying to dodge it mechanically. I think if I can combine dodging stuff mechanically with mitigation, then I'll be able to go much, much deeper, and we might be able to set some pretty crazy records, hopefully. But I'm not going to do that this league because I got a lot of stuff coming up for university, but we will be going hard, maybe in flashback, maybe if this goes core in the next league in December, as I don't have too many commitments then, but we'll just have to see. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this update. 900 depth, definitely check it out. Lots more kind of informational guides coming up because I'm no longer pushing hard. But yeah, see you guys in the next one, and I'll see you real soon.